We pulled some power steering components off of a donor car from a salvage yard. It's all installed, the lines are all connected, and I have no leaks. That's where the good news ends. The bad news is I still really don't have power steering. So I put the power steering pressure tester in line and found that we have well over 1,000 pounds of pressure, which is about what it takes to make these things run. That's a sign that the pump is working as expected and as it should be. The fact that we still don't have power steering is an indication that the seals are probably shot in the rack. Rather than rebuilding the rack, I found a remanufactured rack, and it actually wasn't too bad. Price tag was very reasonable through O'Reilly, and that finally showed up. It just landed today. So we're going to take that, put it in here, and see if it fixes the problem. All right. To be sure, this job kind of sucks. Don't worry, I'll condense it down. You'll get the quick and dirty version. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 main mounting bolts. Oh, look at that. I need a nut on there before the wheel falls off. That's not awesome. The 2-post lift is a marvel. I spent a lot of time on my back shuffling around trying to figure out how to work on stuff. And I'm just too old for that now. And sweet. Okay. Tie rod's off. Or it might just slide out of there. Yeah, probably not. 19 it is. We have a winner. I do not remember where or how we took that apart before. We might have had the luxury of doing it while the engine was out. Well, that is mildly frustrating right there. Come on, baby. Come on, baby. That's right. Any chance it'll just cooperate? Prob's not, you know. The thing is now completely disconnected. The trick is finding how to get it out of there. Okay. Man, is that radiator gotta come out? Gotta be kidding me. I think the radiator has to come out. I do not like that at all. This was definitely easier to do when there was nothing in here. The radiator is in the way. This whole thing has to push upward about, I don't know, 6 inches? I wonder if that can be done without draining the coolant and removing the whole thing. Well, to focus on the positive, so far, the rack I bought does look to be the same as this one. What a pain in the keister. Okay, the radiator is now loose. I hope it will move enough to let this thing out of here. Yeah! Well, I would say those two look remarkably compatible. That needs to go right in there. And it does. So, we seem to be in good shape. Look at things just falling into place, whether you're ready for them or not. We are generally in place. The part I've been dreading the most is getting the steering column back onto it. Hey, it started. Dude, look at that. It's on-ish. Still need the bolt in, but I can deal with that later. That was the part I was most worried about right there. Seriously, this was infinity easier with no engine. I must say that I find it a tad ironic that after all of the discussions with Bryson about what a pain in the caboose this car would be, I am now tackling the project solo, which is okay. Kind of a labor of love at this point, right? And like most things, once you start putting your heart and soul into it, it actually becomes meaningful. So I don't hate the car anymore. Just having it start when I want it to start is enough to not hate the car anymore. We've got everything mounted. It's time to hook up the high pressure lines and then the return line. Then I'm going to do some alignment. I'll measure for toe in, toe out, at least get it close. Then I got to go back up, put the radiator, mount all that back together. Must be time for a test drive. I need to return the rack that I pulled out of here anyway. It's got a $70 core charge on it, so it's worth the trip. While I'm there, I'll get some more power steering fluid. Heavy, heavy. I expected much better, I don't know. Well, I expected this light one-handed steering, and I'm not getting it yet. With any luck, it'll bleed and get better as we go for a minute. I can't, to be honest, even tell if it's any better than it was at the moment. Take a little more drive time before we know that for sure. It's definitely not what I think it should be. It's still just way too stiff. Something is not right. Bummer. Oh, that was fun. So I can find very little information out on the interwebs about this power steering pump. The core of the pump is down here, and it's actually readily available from the standard remanufacturers. O'Reilly and AutoZone and many carry that pump. So the pump itself is fairly easy to replace. But I'm not convinced that's the problem. In this case, I put a pressure tester on this line and read 11-ish hundred pounds, which according to the manual is what should be expected for this to function properly. So that is good, in theory. As a result, I assumed that the rack probably had an issue, and so I replaced that, and well, that didn't fix it either. But this power steering pump has an additional level of difficulty. This unit up on top contains a stepper motor. That's what these wires are. And these wires right here plug into a harness that then goes inside the car through the firewall and allows for an ECU of sorts. It's a power steering unit, power steering control unit. And it controls the level of power steering assist through this little module up on top. So this stepper motor in here has to do something to control that. Now, how that works, I don't exactly know. And there's just really disappointingly little available out on the internet about it, at least that I can find. My theory is that there is some kind of a valve in here that controls how much flow or pressure goes down to the rack, and it is done through this line right here. The service manual says this line should only produce about 43, I think, pounds of pressure, and I have not tested that. This car did not have power steering from the beginning. All of these parts came from a donor vehicle out of a salvage yard, which means that while we thought we were thinking ahead to get all of the components, the hoses, the pump, the rack, and everything we would need, I was quite unaware that there was a power steering control unit that went with it as well. So we don't have one, which means that it's empty in there. These wires don't go anywhere. It is entirely possible that this is stuck in the low assist position, that's its default position. I don't know that. I can't find anything that will confirm it one way or the other, but I'd like to test to find out. I might just try pulling this little, I think they call it a sub pump, off the top, just to see what's in there. I've got a curiosity going on that I can't quite satiate. So if I pull that off, then maybe I can finagle it so that it is at high assist instead of low assist. And then from there, maybe I can go find a power steering control unit. Looks like a stepper motor. And there is indeed an adjustment right there. Question is, can I just leave that off for a minute and then adjust it? That would be an interesting test, wouldn't it? I'm thinking if I start the thing up with the motor disconnected, reach in there and touch that gear, move it manually for a minute, I'll get a feel for what's going on in there. Let's see, if I go pulling the thing up, 1, 2, oh, that's all the way, 1, 2, 3. my gosh! There it is! That was it! I got full power steering now. Hot diggity! Well, it turns out that we get a happy ending to this story. The discovery is actually a little bit fun. This is a stepper motor. You can see the gear on the end of it. It interacts with the gear on the inside of the control module, the thing I referred to as a sub pump. All I did is manually control the position versus having the motor do it. If I rotate that gear all the way up, then it's in full assist mode. All the way down is in high speed or low assist mode. And with that adjustment, we get a little bit of a happy ending to this story. So that's pretty exciting. Must be time for another test drive. Oh, that feels so nice. That's what I'm talking about. One-handed steering. Look, maybe this is just because I'm an old guy, but I like that. All you haters out there that think you should stick with the manual steering, you can keep your manual steering. I like the power steering. And once I get it hooked up with the adaptive steering, once I get the power steering control hooked up, you get the best of both worlds. Then at that point, it's light steering when you're going slow, heavier steering when you're going fast. But of course, when you're going fast, it's all good, right? You don't need the assist. Now you can drive it around town, take it to the grocery store. It is much better. Yeah, that's a little too much fun right there. Alright, I don't care what all y'all say about manual steering. That is fantastic. I mean, look, up at high speed like that, doesn't make any difference, right? It's all the same. And in fact, once the power steering control unit is installed in here, assuming I can find one, then I get high assist at low speeds and low assist at high speeds when you don't need the assist, and you get the best of both worlds. But that right there is a dream to drive compared to what it's been. Effortless and responsive. Like, it just doesn't take much movement of the steering wheel before it goes. There's no free play in here, really at all. Still feel the road just fine, in my opinion. I just don't feel my muscles flexing and straining every time I want to change direction. So I call that a major win right there.